I'm Emma Varnum and I'm a crochet designer and author, and I just thought I would come on here and share with you my new book, Crocheted Houseplants, which I'm really excited about, and I just thought I would come on and share with you. So, if you have read my previous book, Crocheted Succulents, and many of you have, and some people learnt to crochet using crocheted succulents. They made cacti and they made beautiful little succulents, and some of the people even made them to sell and sell for charity, but even started up a little business. So that was really exciting. So I'm just so grateful that so many of you are enthusiastic about it. My second book, Crocheted Houseplants, has just coming out this week. I'm so excited about it because I've been able to represent some of the plants that I have in the house and I grow myself. So I thought I'd share some of those with you, and I'd share some of the inspiration for this book. So that's really exciting. So if you know some of my books before, you will know that inside you'll get a summary of all the different plants. You'll get some good ideas on display, and then you go into individual plants with their patterns, and I'll just give you a bit of a preview here. So that's really exciting. At the back, there are the more complex patterns, and you also get, let me find it for you, sections on techniques and tips. So I love being able to do that for you and giving you illustrations on how to do different techniques within the book. So that's really exciting. There's always a bit of cheeky hints and tips in there as well, so I hope you like them. So yes, lots of hints and tips in here. I thought I'd share with you some of the plants and then some of the real plants as well that I've been inspired by. I mean, first up in the book is this African violet, which is one of the first plants I ever tried to grow or nurture as a child. I think I overloved any African violet I've ever owned by overwatering it. They have beautiful furry leaves, and to create this plant I combined a beautiful soft mohair yarn with a base green yarn and created the lovely furriness of the leaves. This is beautiful deep purple, and then French knots here to create the little stamens in the centre. I borrowed this ramekin from my folks, borrowed. I don't know, I should probably give it back. Anyway, it's very beautiful and it was used in the book. So this was the first plant that I made. There are other plants that if you've looked at the first book, you'll know there are some simple cacti, and I've added to the cacti because I know how many of you love them. This is a crown cactus. It uses a puff stitch, and what I've used is a offcut of pop sock or pair of tights to actually first stuff the cactus round and then put the stuffing inside. So it has a dark background beyond the puff stitch, and it gives a more realistic feel. And then you've used a cotton yarn to create this lovely flower on the cactus. So that's a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed that. I've also made a beautiful succulent which is called moonstones, and the moonstones have this lovely soft kind of brush feeling over the top of them, and I've used this yarn which is really soft and it's slightly tweedy. It's blue with a hint of pink, and so when you choose the yarns for your plants, have a look at the different tones and see if you can replicate the plant that you're trying to create, because that is a lot of fun. There are some really simple patterns in this book. This one would make a great gift for Valentine's Day. You often see them in florists or in garden centres around that time, but you could make your everlasting one very simply. I've used a bit of sort of thin craft foam that children often use to put it in the centre of this plant, and it makes it stand up. So that is a lot of fun. But then I've also got this new cactus, which I've used the lovely tinsel yarn, which I used in the first book to create the spikes. This is called Fairy Castle, and it uses that technique of sewing little nodules of the tinsel yarn, and it's a lot of fun. So yes, those are lots of fun. I also have, for the first time in this book, used wire for the stem of the plant. There are different ways that I've used it. Perhaps I've used a skewer at the base, or I've threaded the wire through the leaf once I've finished it. In some cases, I've done a foundation chain and then incorporated the wire into the first row that I want to create. And I've done that with this Venus flytrap. No flies will die from this Venus flytrap. It's got that great funky tropical feeling to it. This one, this auricula, I love auriculas. I grow them outside, and this was not intended to be in the book, this plant. It was the last pattern I made. It wasn't ever intended to be in the book, and yet my editor said, can we have it? So it's got these beautiful flowers, graphic flowers at the top, based on wire. The wire, you crochet round the wire to create a sort of covering of the wire, and then these beautiful leaves. Yeah, it wasn't ever intended for the book, but it has snuck in. And I love auriculas in the spring, so that is really lovely. Some of the plants in the book are based on plants that I actually have at home. So this plant is the Chinese money plant, or peeler, which I absolutely love. It's gone huge. And this plant was the inspiration for this plant. I'm just going to leave it now. And it's such a lovely plant and so funky and kind of Martian-like. And I put it in this teacup, which is lovely. But you can make lots and lots of these, and they are so much fun. They're like little mini fairy umbrellas. Absolutely hilarious, and they actually look really fun together. Having the real peeler and this peeler together, it's really good fun. So that's great. I've also got some plants that have been an inspiration. Oh, I nearly dropped that. This is the original century plant that I created. This is perhaps one of my favourite in the book. I don't know why, maybe it's the different colours, but this is the real one. I've just brought this in from outside. And then I created this one as from that one. And using the wire in the centre enables you to really create those natural shapes. And I've created the spikes this time by creating little picot bobbles at the edge of the leaf, so that's a lot of fun. I've got, this is a snake leaf plant, and in the centre I've put skewers, you know, kebab skewers, wooden skewers that you might use for barbecuing kebabs. That is in the centre, and then I've used some chenille covered, or what we'd call pipe cleaner, as well in the centre of these leaves. But you could use a thick wire if you want instead, and it's just great fun. If you put them with the 3 or 4 of these together, they look absolutely great together. What I would say, and I will say a number of times, is the plants with wire in them are not intended for children. So keep them out of reach of children, because they're not intended to be played with. If a child is given, say for instance this one, this would be absolutely fine, and it's got no wire in it, it's very soft, and you could put that in a child's room. But something with wire you need to keep out of reach, and they're not to be played with, because they might they might hurt somebody, but also they're not as robust. This one would be fine. This is the donkey's tail. Now it uses a loop stitch, and it's such a lot of fun. You could make this, you could make the strands of this so long, put it on a bookshelf, put it in on the edge of a mantelpiece, and it's so much fun having the ones that trail down, and all of these plants are sewn onto a ball of amigurumi, or working in the round soil. Nowadays, floral foam, which I had featured in some of the plants in my previous book, that is being demonstrated it's not very ecological, and leaves its effect on the planet. So each of these ones in this book work off making your own soil, which you attach your plant to. And that means actually they fit in, you can squeeze them into lots of different size pots. Another dangling or draping plant is this Tradescantia, beautiful purple leaves. We've got a couple of these, they grow beautifully in the bathroom, and they're really simple to make. As long as you've crocheted round the wire for the stem, you then put on as many different leaves as you like, and they are really effective. Use different tones, will make it even more effective. One of the very first houseplants that most people look after is the spider plant. That's another draping one. Here I've created the little offshoot with the baby on the end. The centre of each of these leaves has the same light yellow-green yarn, and the outside has 3 different tones of green yarn, which is what gives it a more naturalistic look. Using different tones as you finish off your plant will give it a really great realistic look. This plant, which is one of my favourites, this one's just spiked me, cheeky thing. So this plant is Boston fern. We've got a Boston fern at home, and it looks great next to this one. I use a tweed yarn for this, and it has great effect, realistic effect. Here you go on the soil, and you can then manipulate the leaves to look really realistic. It could be standing straight up or draping down if you prefer. So it's great fun. Some of the plants in this book are much larger and will require a lot of concentration in their construction. This is just one of those, a herringbone plant, and it uses a surface top slip stitch to create the red veins. I've used some felt tip to create the tones and the shading afterwards. It's hilarious fun. And I've worked, the major stem is based around a sort of green, dark green plant stake, which you might use for an orchid, for instance. I have woven the wire through the centre of this leaf. I have then twisted it around the plant stake. I've added 2 more leaves here, and then I've done a couple of rows of this dark green yarn. I've done a sort of foundation chain and then a couple of rows of double crochet, and then encapsulated the whole thing and sewn it up together. You can then manipulate how it looks and create that wonderful realistic look of it's one of the prayer plants where at night it will put its leaves right up, and then during the day the leaves come down. So there are more complicated constructions in this book, including the cheese plant, Monstera, and also there is poinsettia, a Christmas, beautiful Christmas plant that's often used in the winter, and bright red leaves, bright red, what appears to be flowers, but they're actually leaves. So those plants are much larger, and they will take a bit of construction, but they're great fun to make. So yeah, they're absolutely good fun and worth having a go at. So there's a huge collection here of different plants that you can make for your house. I really, really do hope you like the book. It's out now. You'll see the moth orchid on there as well. I had a lot of fun making them. I really hope you like this book. Please do share if you make any of the plants. Share if there's anything you really like. I will be putting on some tutorials on how to crochet around wire, for instance. So those will go on YouTube very soon. And thanks so much for joining me. Please do like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, and it will encourage me to make more tutorials and more videos for you. And you can always go on my website, emmavarnham.co.uk, where you could buy me a coffee if you like some of the hints and tips I give you, or you can get hold of some of my books or my downloadable patterns. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a lovely week.